Hey guys, I'm Josh from thenerdcave.com, and today I'll be coming to you with another awesome action figure review. Today I'll be reviewing the blue version of Masters of the Universe Classics, Mer-Man. Now this figure, just like all the other Masters of the Universe Classics, is sculpted by the Four Horsemen, which they have a reputation of sculpting some of the finer figures on the market at this price point. This figure comes in a 2-pack with DC figure Aquaman. It's Masters of the Universe Classics versus DC Universe. The only way to get this blue Mer-Man is in that Toys R Us exclusive. You cannot order them from MattyCollector.com. It's either going to be at your Toys R Us or on the secondary market. Now this blue paint scheme is modeled after an old mini-comic. In fact, it's the only time you will see Mer-Man in this blue color. As you know, in the cartoons and everywhere else that he makes an appearance, he's green. This figure is actually the same figure as the Masters of the Universe Classics green version, but you don't get some of the accessories with this guy that you get with the green one. The green one, as everyone may know, has an interchangeable head, and it comes with a trident. This one, the only accessory that you get is the sword, as you can see. But, you know, at this price point, it's nothing to really complain about that you don't get those accessories. And he looks really good. The paint scheme, it's worth the price to have a blue Mer-Man in your collection. Now, the retail price of this 2-pack and the Aquaman, as I mentioned, is equally as nice as the Mer-Man. The retail price retails for around $39. I was able to catch it on clearance, but I think a lot of Toys R Us are clearancing them out for $29. I highly recommend, if you can find this 2-pack for $29, that you go pick it up, because they're both really nice figures, and I'll look to have a Aquaman review at a later date. So let's get started with this awesome review and look at Mer-Man and see what his perks are and see what his any qualms I may have about him. So let's get started with the sculpt. As I mentioned to start with, it's sculpted by the Four Horsemen, who are sculpting all the Masters of the Universe Classics from Mattel. And their sculpts are always amazing. So anytime, for the most part, that I review a Masters of the Universe Classic, the sculpt I like. There are some qualms in some of them. However, this guy, I have no qualms. I think it's a very awesome sculpt. So let's get started with that. And that pretty much speaks for itself. You can see all the detail in his head here, all the cuts. It's awesome. The Four Horsemen spare no detail as far as sculpting goes. I feel like the only way you're going to get a nicer Mer-Man, as far as sculpt goes, and paint apps even, is it be a custom-made figure that someone spent a good deal of time on and customized for you alone. So as far as sculpt goes, getting back to it, even his armor, any of the accessories that they sculpt is really, really cool. If you can see here, all of the detail that they spared, the cuts and the paint apps, they always do a little bit of shedding to try to amp the realism up a little bit, and they do a really good job with this Mer-Man as well. You can see right here the fur under his belt line is very, very, very well cut. It almost looks real, and the paint apps make it look 3D, three-dimensional. Always good shedding. One thing about the paint applications, and it does not take away from the sculpting, you can see the fine definition there, is there's no shedding at all on the boots. It's a fine yellow color. They did paint the buckles different color, but they did not shade it all. I feel like they could made it look a little better as far as paint applications go on the legs and feet, of a little more shading to make it look a little more three-dimensional there, kind of like they did with the little dry brush here and here on the armor. As far as negatives go, as I said, you do not get the interchangeable head, and you do not get the classic trident that Mer-Man always uses as a weapon. Again, though, for the price point, that is not really Mattel's fault. That's more of me being overly critical, as the figure cost as much with Mer-Man and Aquaman as the regular Masters of the Universe Classics costed alone, so we can't really complain about not getting that extra head sculpt that pops on, or the trident. Okay, let's go over articulation here while we're at it. Mer-Man's head will spin in a full 360 degrees. It moves up and down ever so slightly. Left and right, barely. Not too much, as you can see there. His arms have a full 360 at the top joint, as well as up and down. His elbows do not have a double jointed elbow. He only has a single joint. That's what you get right there. That's about it. His wrists also will move in a full 360 degree angle. He has the classic ab crunch joint here in the middle, which is on a pop swivel, as you can see. It moves down, up, okay. His legs are much like the arms. They will go in a full 360. However, before I show you, the fur does kind of restrict them, the range of motion a little bit. If you want to force it, which I do not recommend, you can get a full 360 out of them. The knees, again, are just like the elbows. They do move a good deal, but they are not double jointed, which I guess you can't really complain too much about as an adult collector. He's not really made to play with a whole lot. However, you can get him in some nice poses. His ankles do go up and down, as well as have a pivot. I love the ankle swivels that they put on these things. It does enable a lot of pose, a lot of posability, and a lot of awesome stances that you can put him in. He does hold his weapon quite well, which is also very, very well painted and detailed, as you can tell. This figure right here, for a $29 price point with DC Universe Classics Aquaman, which, as I mentioned, is also a very highly regarded figure, is a very, very good deal. In my opinion, I think this Masters Universe Classics Blue Mer-Man, based off the mini comic, is worth $29 in his own right. So, if you guys can get out to Toys R Us and pick it up, find it for $29 or even $39, I think it'll be a very, very well addition to your collection. Very good addition to your collection, rather. I give this Mer-Man a must-own for a Masters Universe Classics fan. It's the blue paint scheme based off the mini-comic. He looks really good standing next to your 200X Green Mer-Man or your Masters Universe Classics Green Mer-Man, sculpted by the Four Horsemen as well. Again, guys, I am Josh from thenerdcave.com, your #1 source in nerdy news. We do comic books, video games, toys, book reviews, TV shows. We do it all, guys. So head on over to thenerdcave.com. Hope you guys are all doing well, and I'll catch you later.